You're listening to Bad Dog Agility, bringing you training tips, interviews, and news about the great sport of dog agility.
This week's podcast is the audio from Video 1 in our workshop series, Your Journey Towards Agility Mastery. And in this podcast, we're going to talk about the 4 stages of competence and how those apply to dog agility. Today's podcast is brought to you by hititboard.com. Hititboard.com has the innovative training tools you need for agility. Having problems with the dog walker A-frame? The Hititboard can fix that. Your dog doesn't like tugging? They'll love the Tug It. Can't move your A-frame around by yourself? The Move It can. Go to hititboard.com and use discount code BDA10 to get 10% off your order. That's hititboard.com. We are ready to get started here. And so I will introduce the 3 of us. First of all, we have in Ohio, Jennifer Crank.
Hello.
There she is, waving on the screen. Here to my left, right on the video because it's flipped, is Esteban Fernandez Lopez. And I am Sarah Fernandez Lopez. And we want to welcome you to this very special 4-part workshop called Your Journey Towards Agility Mastery. And whether you're a newcomer to agility or a longtime veteran of the sport, this is the place to be if you want to get better at dog agility. So the 3 of us are the people behind Bad Dog Agility. We're the voices that you hear on the podcast. So we probably sound familiar to all of you podcast fans. We have been doing Facebook Lives every week since the shutdown started due to COVID. So for you Facebook fans, you probably recognize us from those Facebook Lives. We're all 3 longtime agility competitors and instructors at the Bad Dog Agility Academy. And we're here today to talk to you about how you can get better at dog agility on your own personal journey. We do want to help as many people as we possibly can. This is going to be a great presentation for all stages of agility. So we have a toy prize package. I have visual aids here. We're going to be giving away at the end of this, we're going to be giving away a Squigglet, which is like a soft, fuzzy tug toy, and a Tug It 2, which is like a food toy with some fuzzy stuff on it. So this is our toy prize package. And we're going to be giving that away to somebody who shares this live video on Facebook. So you need to share. You need to make it public so that when we draw your name, we can see that that you shared it. And then you need to put in the comments wherever you are. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on our website, just put in the comments shared, and you will be in that drawing. And we will pull that just after this live presentation and message the winner.
Yeah.
All righty.
I'm pretty amused about the Squigglet because we just did this tugging course. And so a lot of people signed up for the tugging course, and we actually didn't have one of these for our puppies, and we got them after we had done all the videos and everything and launched the puppy, the tugging course. And then the puppy loved it, right?
Yeah.
The poodle loved it. I was like, where have you been for the last year?
I know, exactly. We are connoisseurs of tugging toys and collectors. This is one of our new favorites. And this comes from hititboard.com, which is our podcast sponsor as well. All righty. So, okay, we have people sharing. Perfect. And that will help us reach everybody in agility and get them this presentation. So when people run into problems in agility, there can be a lot of negative feelings. Mm. Yeah. And so I think some of those are going to be, things aren't going well and they feel frustrated. They feel overwhelmed. Jennifer, I know you teach live, so you interact with people directly. You see all of the emotions that they're going through. So, what are some of the problems that the negative emotions that people run into when they run into problems?
Yeah, I have a lot of students live working through people online. And so over the years with so many students, you see a common trend in a lot of the feelings, a lot of the negative feelings that they have. A lot of times, one of the most common ones I get is this feeling of frustration. Like they're putting in their work, they're coming to class, they're going above and beyond with private lessons, but they just don't feel like they're making the progress they should. So they're logging the hours and they're making the work and they're not seeing the improvements that they think they should be seeing, which then kind of goes into this overwhelming or maybe discouraged. Well, is it me? Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm not cut out for agility. Or possibly some go, oh, it's the dog. The dog's not, it's not the right dog. This isn't the dog for me. This dog wasn't, wasn't made for agility. So you get into that. Well, is it a dog problem? Is it a handler problem? So these common trends of kind of frustration, maybe disappointment would be another word too, of where's that gap? What is keeping me from getting to that next level? Why am I not getting the results that I want to get? So you see these trends over and over through different students, different stages. It's a lot of the same emotions. And like you said, because I'm dealing with them live, I see it. You're not just, the online students, they may tell you or they may voice it, but you can see that look on their face in the live. And it's just these same trends that you will see from students all over.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes, I'm just going to quote myself here. Agility is hard. Agility is hard. It's not easy. When you watch people have really great runs, when you have a great run, it feels effortless. It's a beautiful thing. Feels great, but it's hard to get that. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it really does. And I totally agree with both of you. And so, what we found is that it really helps for people to understand the learning process and the stages that they're going to go through in that learning process. And I have talked with different people about this for years, students trying to set expectations, let them know that they're not alone, that what to expect as they go through their own personal agility journey. But one thing that I came across in the last couple of years was a psychology model that talked about the learning process and gave it a name. So these were the things that I'd been talking about, but now I had like a real name of what to call it, right? And it was the 4 stages of competence. And that's what we're going to be talking here today. So it really helps because it helps to explain why you feel the way you feel, depending on what stage you're in. And it gives you that light at the end of the tunnel, right? Knowing where you're going and that there is a path to get there and that you're on that path, right? And we just need to move you along towards your goals.
Yeah. And I'm just going to address some of the comments that are coming in. It's really great. And I'm glad we're able to interact with you guys. Lois says she loves your glasses. And for those who missed it, I know that someone in there asked where they could get the toy. So if you don't win the drawing, where can you get this great tug toy that even a poodle wants to tug on? It's
Hititboard, hititboard.com.
Hititboard.com. You can go and get the toy there. And Vic points out the second rule of handling: video yourself. Watch the video in real time and in slow-mo. That's a great tip. And I love what you said there, Vic, about watching yourself. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So much of dog agility is, we talk about training dogs, but we're also in the business of training handlers. And I think someone else had said, it was Jim. So Jim, right below that, says, in his case, he knows it's him. He's someone new to agility. His dog is fast, awesome. So I think this is just something where everybody needs to understand. Everyone should understand. You're not alone. We've all been there. We've all felt like we were the rate limiting step. For those of you who remember your high school chemistry, we're the problem. We're holding our dogs back. We're holding the team back. And so that's what we're talking about here.
Exactly. So let me switch over here to, I have one and only one slide for you guys to help explain this. And let me pull it up here. There we go. All right. So these are the 4 stages of competence as described by psychology learning models. And then we have the 4 stages of competence for dog agility. So this is our explanation of how these really apply to us as dog agility competitors, right? And so we're going to start at the beginning. And the beginning is unconscious incompetence. And so the translation of that is you don't know it and you can't do it, right? You don't know what you don't know. And this is where we all start in agility. So if you just take a moment and think about when you first discovered agility and what you thought it was or what you thought it entailed. And I'll tell you, for me, when I saw agility, I thought it was dogs doing obstacles, right? I mean, that was that was the thing that I was seeing. I wasn't seeing the handling, and I had no concept of what a front cross was, or that there was even a cross. I didn't even notice that the handler's moving from one side of the dog to the other. I was all about seeing the dog do obstacles. So this is that unconscious incompetence stage. And it's a little bit like ignorance is bliss, right? Like, how many of you, when you were very first starting, or before you started, when you first saw it, thought, I could do that, or my dog could do that, right? And you're just going to sign up for a 6-week class and be doing agility. And that's definitely what I thought. I remember that, right? I thought in 6 weeks, I'm going to be out there running agility. And everybody on this call probably knows it's a little bit of a longer path than that.
You can do it. You can get there. It's just you're just not going to get there in 1 week, right? Not going to win Westminster after your very first agility lesson.
But Jennifer, I'm sure, I know because we've talked about it between us, that coming off of your Westminster win with Pink, you get people who come in fresh, don't know anything about the sport, and this is where they start.
Yeah, I had I've had a lot of 4-Hers this spring and summer, a lot of junior handlers, and helping the juniors in the 4-H programs around here. And a lot of them come in and they know me from Westminster. They've seen Pink. They've maybe done a little obedience training with their dog. So they come in for this lesson and they're like, okay, I'm ready to go. And I'll go, okay, we'll start talking about things, and the idea that there's ways to change sides, and there's side changes, and they'll look at me and they'll be like, oh, it's not like obedience where it's all on one side. And even though they've seen it and even though they've watched it, they don't know. They don't know that there's handling. They don't know that there's side changes. So not only are they there to learn the sport and how to do it, but they have to start with that step of understanding what's happening, understanding that there are different moves and different training techniques. So that first stage is something that I've actually been dealing with a little bit in the last 6 months with a lot of the junior handlers I've been working with.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And I was just trying to think of my own example. And for me, this is not just a beginner issue. This is definitely for people who have been in agility a long time, because the sport is constantly changing, right? It's evolving. There's new training techniques. There's new handling maneuvers. And for me, several years ago, when I started working with Gitchy, the Golden, we weren't doing blind crosses. Right. So I had never done blind crosses in my handling. I never needed to. I could get everywhere I wanted to get to. And if I couldn't get there, I would just rear cross. Right. Wasn't using blind crosses. And so when I was like, okay, let me start on these blind crosses. When you're looking at these 4 stages here applied to agility, I didn't really know what I was doing. Right. I went out there and I tried to do my first blind cross and it didn't go well. Right. Like Gitchy didn't take the jump. And I was like, what's going on here? And so you're looking at a competitor who had been out there, 10, 12 years doing agility, had a lot of success, but this was something that I was unfamiliar with. So for that one particular skill, I was all the way back here at that first stage of competence, right? I didn't know anything about it. Can't really do it very well. That's where I was.
Yeah, exactly. So if we think of this beginning stage as kind of the ignorance is bliss stage, then when you move out of it, you lose a little bit of that bliss, because now you go to conscious incompetence. You know that there's a lot of stuff there, but you don't know how to do it yet. So you know it, but you can't do it. And this, I think, is where especially beginners, newcomers to the sport, can get overwhelmed, like extremely overwhelmed, because suddenly the sport is a lot more complicated than they thought. And the list of things that they have to learn, it just keeps growing, right? So if we think about like a front cross, they may know what a front cross is. They may, their instructor may be trying to teach it to them, but every time they try to do one, they end up turning turning their back to their dog instead of towards their dog, right? They do a blind because they just haven't quite figured it out yet, right? And they get frustrated with themselves, and they feel confused. So I think kind of the hallmark of this stage is like confusion and overwhelm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to go back to my blind cross example.
Yeah.
Right. So once I decided, okay, courses are getting tough. I see a lot of value here in the blind cross. I want to put that into my own handling, but I'd never done them before. So of course, the first thing I did was I went out, tried to get some knowledge, watched a lot of people do blind crosses. And I said, okay, look, I think I've got it. I think I have this knowledge. I'm moving from that first stage to the second stage. So now I feel like I know it. I know what I need to do. And then I went out there and tried to do it again. And I got the same result, right? I couldn't do it, right? I was blind crossing late. I didn't trust the dog. And I would slow down as if I was preparing to do a front cross, right? There was a lot of habits that I had developed in the way that I interact with my dog on course. And those were things that I needed to get past, but I couldn't do it, right? So you have a little bit of the knowledge, you just can't get it done, right? And so that's what I think of when I think about those two stages.
Right, exactly. And Jennifer, for you, what's a time when that you can think back on where you found yourself in this conscious incompetent stage, this know it but can't do it?
So in thinking about these stages, I thought, okay, I think a really powerful way to help anybody understand them, for all of you guys there listening, is to think of a skill, think of a behavior that you've been in all four stages, that you have made it to the end, and kind of think back. And so, agility might not be there for you. So I thought, okay, what is something that everybody has experienced? And I thought, what I think would be a really good one that almost everybody out there has probably already made it to that unconscious competence, and that's driving. Right. Mm-hmm. So go all the way back to the beginning of driving. True story. My dad takes me out for my very first time in a car, and I asked the question, which was the gas and which was the brake? That's that unconscious incompetence, right? You don't know it. You can't do it. You've never done it. So the conscious incompetence was, okay, we're learning about it. So I remember my dad would drive me to my, driver's ed. I think I had to take 8 2-hour classes or 8 1-hour classes in the classroom.
Oh, wow.
So you're learning, you're studying, you're getting prepared with the knowledge, but you still haven't gotten out there and done it yet. You haven't logged your hours. You haven't had to get into the car with a driver or a parent. So you know it, but you can't do it. So if we kind of think through each of these stages as driving, I think most of you guys out there are going to kind of correlate it to, oh yeah, okay, there was that stage, and then now there's this stage. So that know it but can't do it is like, okay, you're in the driver's ed, but you haven't really gotten out on the road yet, or gotten in the car, or done it yet.
Right. And so from there, we're going to go to conscious competence. So finally, we have competence. We're no longer incompetent. We can do things. So this is where we go when we are now starting to do agility. We know it and we can do it. And here's where I think the real power of this definition of these stages comes in, because once people are doing agility, they often think that this is the end point. And if they're doing it, but they're struggling, that it's them, right? So they get to this conscious competence stage. They know it, they can do it, but it's hard. And they think it's hard because they are not good at it, because they are not athletic, because they don't have the right dog, things like that. And so this is where I think that this staged approach should give you a lot of hope, because I'm here to tell you that if you're in this stage where you know it and you can do it, but it's hard, there is another stage and you can get there. And you do spend a lot of time in this conscious competence stage, right? This know it, can do it, but it's hard. You spend a lot of time here, but it is not the end point. This is not how it's going to be forever. And this is what I always want to tell people that are sort of new to the sport, and they may struggle, like, talking about the front cross. They're doing front crosses on course, but they find it very difficult. They have to think about it really hard. They have to think about which foot they're going to start on, how many steps they're going to take. And while they're thinking about that, they're having a hard time thinking about the course or connecting with their dog, or, they may get lost on course. All these things may happen, and they think it is them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go back to my blind cross example, and we're going to pull up a comment here from Janine.
This one?
Yes. And Janine's absolutely right. She says, I think the dogs go through these stages in a way too, but a lot faster, and that leads to some human frustration. That's a very real thing. Blind cross, I was doing them in practice with Gitchy for 3 years before I tried them in a trial. So how long was I stuck at stage 3 here for this one blind cross skill? I'm going to say a couple of years, because it's almost a little bit intimidating. I felt like, okay, well, maybe blind crosses aren't for me. For whatever reason, it's not for me. It's not for Gitchy. And then you don't work on them, right? You kind of give up. right? And especially if you have all these other avenues of handling available to you. And so you can get stuck there. I was frustrated, but we were able to work past that. I think another key thing people need to realize is you are going to spend some time here, right? So for me, that was a couple of years before I was confident enough to do it at a big event, right? Like AKC Nationals, World Team Tryouts. But once I was able to do that, then you're getting up there on the podium, right? Because it gave me this handling advantage. And then I could take advantage of other handling abilities and things that me and Gitchy had. So just know that people get stuck here.
I think a reason people feel like they get stuck there too is you have to remember, if you are not on your first dog, so if you are on your second, your third, your fourth dog, that's often going to be your starting point. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you already know how to do a lot of the handling skills. So, when you go from dog 1 to dog 2, you're not relearning a front cross from a knowledge standpoint. You're not relearning a blind cross from a knowledge standpoint. So when you are on your second or third dog, and I know many of you out there are, right? You're not listening to this with your first dog. So you've skipped those first 2 stages. And so you kind of start right in that third stage. Right? It's hard because you're relearning a new dog. You went from a small breed to a large breed, a fast dog to a slow dog to a fast dog, different stride lengths. So you still know it. You still can kind of do it, but it's very hard because you're relearning as a team. So I think for a lot of people, they feel like they get stuck there because they started there. What they need to remember is you started there. You're already ahead of the game. You've already done a fantastic job of getting from step 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. And don't discredit that. Don't take that away from where you've come on your journey so far at this point, even though you may feel like you're there for a little bit longer with that second or third dog.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I love the comments that are coming in. Jim's comment here. So for Jim, he says, for him, there's a stage 3.5. Some stuff is easy, but some stuff is hard. And yeah, that's exactly right. I feel like, I'm there for fronts and rears are very comfortable for me, but blind crosses, not so much. And so, I'm stuck there in that third stage there. So great comment.
Right, exactly. So Jennifer, take us through the driving example that people can relate to for this conscious competence stage.
Well, I think that's, that's kind of where now, okay, you've done your classroom stuff, you know what you're doing. I know when I was learning to drive, you had to have 40 hours with a parent before you could go take your test. So you're logging your hours, but you're still thinking radio has to be down. Right. That, you're yelling at mom, I don't have this conversation. I got to think I'm merging on the freeway. Don't talk to me while I'm merging on the freeway. Or like, oh my gosh, right. It's starting to rain. So you have to be very aware of everything. And if you're driving to a new place, you can't handle the GPS going and the driving. When I was learning to drive, my mom would always do the back roads, and I just got on the freeway. She said, get on the freeway, just drive 40 minutes to the dog show. When we get off, we'll switch and I'll worry about navigating, because she would know where I'm going. I just had to worry about one road, so you're doing it, but it's hard. You have to really think about it. You can't have the distractions. It's not, totally effortless for you.
Exactly. And so then we move to where we all want to be. And this is unconscious competence. You know it, you can do it, and it's easy. So you actually move a lot of your skill from conscious thought to unconscious thought. And that's why it's going to be so easy. It comes naturally. The front cross to me is such a good example, because there's so many people that when we work them through the front cross, they're doing the front cross and they just say, look, it's just, I'm doing it, but it's so difficult. And then I get lost on course and I never know which foot to use. And I just want to tell them, like, I promise it gets better. Like, I promise it gets better, and you don't stay there forever. Once you move all of that from conscious thought to unconscious thought, it frees you up to concentrate on everything else. And so I think that, some people, the actual handling is hard. Some people, the mental side of it is hard, putting all of that mental energy in. And to the earlier point that somebody made about our dogs go through this too. Absolutely. And I think these are the stages where you really see it, is that when a dog is thinking about, for example, thinking about the weave poles, and they're thinking about how they go through each pole. They look very different than when they have mastered that skill and they're just doing it, right?
Right.
You can see that they have internalized that behavior. And so this is where we all want to be. And this is where you can get to with your skills. So your blind cross example, I guess, so you aren't quite there yet, or you're getting there? Moments.
I feel like I'm going to have to start over. I feel like Gitchy and I got there.
Yes.
Right. We had some good runs at big events. We did some nice blind crosses. Definitely did great. And now I've got this 15-month-old golden retriever, and she hasn't done any crosses. Right. We're not doing any jumping. Not yet. We're about to. So this is going to be a big summer for her. And so I'm going to have to go through these stages again for all the crosses with this particular dog. We're not going to have any unconscious competence anywhere because I'm not going to trust her yet. We're not going to have that relationship that took 5 or 6 years to develop with the dog that we just retired. So, we kind of got to go through all that again. But I really like the driving example because it's such a good one. It's been so long since I drove, but I told Jennifer that I wasn't supposed to do this. I was not supposed to be the one to teach Isaac, who is now 15, to drive.
I was going to do it.
Yeah, so she was going to do it. But I was like, you know what? We're here in the driveway. Just get in there and do this thing. And it didn't go well. It did not go well. I'd forgotten everything that you don't know, right? There's just the gap is so big.
It's actually interesting. Like as instructors, sometimes we have to actually pull things that are unconscious back to conscious so that we can explain it to other people. And I bet somebody watching here will put in the comments that they have heard me on a feedback. I do this all the time. I'll be looking at somebody's video and I'll say, okay, hold on, I'm going to pause. I need to do this cross in my living room so I can tell you which foot I would start on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I go, and I used to, I'm doing this in like the hallway, right? Pretending that I'm doing agility. I have to bring it back to conscious thought.
Yeah.
So, that's where the magic is. And, Jennifer, I think about, watching you and Pink at Westminster, right? Like that looked like magic.
Oh, it certainly was. You get to that point and you'll have those magical runs, and it doesn't take away from how thrilling they are, no matter how many you have. With Pink at Westminster, you get done with the run. All of my years, we've had great runs in the finals, all of my years, and I get done, can't hear the crowd, don't know what the announcer said. You don't hear the crowd screaming. It's always really fun to watch the videos back because you don't realize what's going on because you're in the moment. You're just out there. You're just doing it. You're not having to think about what's happening. You almost get done and you don't remember. It's such a thrill. You're like, I don't even know what happened. Were we clean? Because you're just so in the moment and it's just happening. And I always kind of think about, I've told people that I feel like Pink can read me, right? So she can know what I'm doing one step ahead of me. And that is just because the two of us as a team, it's just become so unconscious for us. It's just so effortless. We just go out there and do it. I don't have to think about my handling motions. I know what I'm doing there. So I can 100% connect with her. She doesn't have to think about her performance. She knows how to do every piece of equipment. So she can focus on me and we just gel. And yeah, you don't hear the crowds. You don't hear the announcer. I know many people will say that about AKC Nationals when you go into that ring. And, you get done and you're like, oh, I didn't even know the announcer was talking about me. I mean, that's the start of that magic happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like automatic.
Right? Yeah.
And I think in sports psychology, people talk about being in the zone. Athletes talk about being in the zone. Just everything is going their way. They anticipate everything that's coming, all of their training, all of the practice. It comes and it culminates in that moment. And we've all had runs or sequences or even a single obstacle where you feel that way, right? You're clicking, your dog's clicking, everything goes right. And it's a great feeling. And that's part of what we're chasing after a little bit, I think, when we do dog agility.
Yeah. Oh, this is a great comment. Georgianne says that, my mouse jumped on me. She said that she teaches band. She's new to agility, but she's teaching band. Agility is totally like performing music. This is one of the things that I love about agility is that there is so much that's in common between agility and so many other things, life in general, right? Life is agility. Agility is life. It all comes together, but that's absolutely true. And Daniela says that she's nervous because she now has 2 dogs that are very, very different heights. And how is that going to work? And I think that you can think of being able to switch between dogs as a skill that has to go through these stages, right? So at first, either dog in isolation, you might have everything put together perfectly. You might be all the way at the effortless stage 4 with each dog individually. But being able to run them back to back or with 15 minutes in between, you might be at 3 for a while, but you may build up that skill, build up your tolerance for being able to go back and forth and still bring back that effortless feeling with each dog. And then, Jim had said he thought he was at a 3.5 because some things were effortless and some things weren't, which was a great observation and a perfect segue into another point that I wanted to make, which is, different skills can be at different levels. And you're going to cycle through this with multiple dogs, as Jennifer mentioned. One of the things that you had mentioned about driving a car is that nobody feels like they can't drive a car. They're not good enough to drive a car. They're not going to get there, right? They're confident.
Nobody ever quits. They're like, right. I'm done. Take my license.
I mean, some people do, but in general, we all get there, right? We all get to where you don't even think about the blinker, right? You turn the wheel and the blinker goes on. You didn't even realize you were doing it, right? Yeah. Agility can be that way too, but people put it in its own category. No, agility is different and I can't get there. But we believe that you can. And so we hope that this is really eye-opening for you in terms of these 4 stages and motivating and giving you hope that you're going to be able to get there, to show you that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, because without it, you're stuck in a very yes, no, right? I can do it or I can't do it. And then when you get there and you can kind of do it and it doesn't seem to be getting better, like me in the blind cross, you're just going to wake up one day and you're going to say, okay, I can't do it, or my dog can't do it, or blind crosses are stupid, right? So many people, you blame the thing that you're learning. I didn't really need that anyway, is what you're going to tell yourself. Stop contacts. I didn't need it anyway. Let me try and do something else. This weave pull method. It's the method. It's not working for me. Let me try something else.
Exactly. And this yes, no idea, I think, can be really, really damaging because it doesn't allow for growth, right? It's like one day you don't have it and the next day you do. And if you're still a no, you feel like a failure, right? But if you look at this model, right, there's kind of 3 no's before you get to the yes, and they represent progress, right? So it is different to be in stage 3 than it is to be in stage 2. And it does represent progress on your part. And so that's kind of the exciting part of this, the motivating part of this. And so what we have put together for you guys is a PDF download that we want you to download and fill out for your dog. So it starts off with just a recap in case you've forgotten anything or you want to remember some of these stages. But here's the real powerful part here. We want you to print this out. You're going to put your dog's name, today's date, and then we want you to come back in 6 months and in a year and fill out this. And you're going to, for all of these skills, you're going to rate your own stage. Right? Are you stage 1? Are you stage 2, 3, or 4? And then in 6 months, you're going to do it again. And you're going to see that some of these things that were a stage 2 are now a stage 3. Some of these things that were stage 3 are now at stage 4. You're going to see that progress, and it's really going to help keep you excited and motivated, and rewarding yourself for your progress. We've put some general ideas here in terms of the different skills, but you can write in your own. And then I also have a completely blank sheet. So if you just want to come up with all of the skills in your vocabulary, the way you understand them, you can do that. And so you're going to get that by going to baddogagility.com/video1. And at the very bottom, there is a place to put in your email to get the PDFs. And you're going to get the PDF, this one, after the presentation. So we'll make that live after the presentation. You can go ahead and put your email address in now. And you will also get the PDFs for...
Wait, not now in the comments.
Not now in the comments.
Yeah.
Right. You'll get it by email later tonight. And then you'll also get the PDFs that go with the other videos in this series. So this is going to help you identify your current stage, and knowing your stage is important for all of those reasons, motivation, and helping you progress. And that's been what we've been focusing on today, but we also want to move you through these stages, right? We want all of these skills. We want you to see progress on them over time and get to that ultimate mastery, that unconscious competence, that it's easy, it's fluid, and it's exciting.
Yeah. So someone had made the comment earlier. If you scroll up a little bit, maybe you can find it, about, scroll up, keep going up. But basically, I don't know. I guess it vanished somewhere in the feed. There's so many comments, but, how do I get started? What do we do? I'm grasping this idea of the 4 stages. I see where I'm at, this is making me feel better, but then, here we go. Cindy asked, if you're new to the sport, where do you start? Obviously you can start at the beginning, but that's what we're going to do in this, 4 video series. So we're going to literally take you through it. And you've already talked a little bit about the next video.
That's right. So the next video, we're going to be talking about how do you make progress from stage to stage. So diving deeper into how do you move towards mastery? How are we going to move you towards mastery?
Very specific, concrete. We show you how to do it
right,
step by step.
Exactly.
Yeah, take an example.
So right now you can go put in your email so that you get the PDF later tonight. And that's at baddogagility.com/video1. Let us know in the comments what your biggest struggle is right now and what stage you identify yourself at for that particular struggle. And then if you have found this video helpful, we would love for you to share it. And of course, if you share it, you are entered into our toy prize package.
When are you going to announce the winner for that? How are they going to find out who won?
Let's say 10 minutes from now, we'll pull the winner. You have 10 minutes to share.
Well, and then when can they expect to be notified?
Immediately. Yeah. So in 15 minutes. So 10 minutes from now, we'll pull the winner, and then we'll let you know right away.
Okay.
Yeah. Just the winner will be notified. Just the winner.
Okay.
Okay. So if you share it and comment shared, then you're eligible for that toy prize package. And the next video will be on Thursday night at 7 p.m.
Yeah. And if you found this helpful and you had classmates, training partners, students, I know a lot of you out there watching are instructors, let them know. Pass it on.
Yep. All right. Thanks for joining, everybody. And say bye, everybody.
See ya.